I'm going to get us started today. I'm going to get us started talking about making homeschool plans for the long term, not just today. So it's really stop building homeschool plans for right now and start building homeschool plans for the long term. This is important. This is very, very important. Homeschooling, you know the struggle. Does anybody feel that when you read that? Who feels that? Homeschooling, you know the struggle. That's actually what a mom told me. I was I was mentoring her about some high school things, and she has some little ones too that she's homeschooling, and I asked her about her little ones, and I said, "How's it going with the little guys?" And she was like, you know the struggle." And I was like, "Man, I really think she wanted me to agree with her, and I totally feel her. I get it. I've been there. I will tell you about that in a second. But and there are hard days, right? You guys have been homeschooling for a while. There are hard days. It's just there's hard days in life. There's hard days in parenting. It's just how it is. But I was struck when I heard that at how much we tend to normalize that as something that's just what it is. And I'm going to tell you why that happens. But do you guys feel that? Do you under do, is that hitting home for you? Because I hear it in other places too. I hear, "Oh, this season is just hard. We'll get through it." I hear that a lot from parents. I talk to parents all over the country, all over the United States, all over. I talk to parents in Canada, in other countries too, and everybody says the same things for the most part. But when it comes to hard times, sometimes we can think that it's just a season. We'll just get through it. We just have to plow through. We just have to make it through the season. Sometimes we can just really justify that and it's okay. I get it. I've done the same thing. I've honestly heard it in lots of other places too, not just homeschooling. We can do that about all areas of our life, right? But the thing about it is it's comes from the place that we don't know a way out. We don't know that there's any different. We don't know that it doesn't have to be that way. We don't even know what that looks like. Or maybe we know what it looks like and we're just like, "Man, we're just in a rough patch." But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. And we normalize that just hard part. We just have to survive. Right? That's surviving. It shows up when love of learning actually has dropped. And so that's the key that I want to share with you today is that a lot of times that happens when we know it seems like all of a sudden. I had a mom share this with me the other day too. She said, "Gosh, it just all of a sudden we're not in our groove. We're not I don't get it. Like we're just not doing our thing." And they were doing fine before and now they're not. And it's just all of a sudden. But guess what? It's not all of a sudden. What happens is you recognize it because there's low motivation, there's complaining, there's arguing, there's frustration. And perhaps the kids are still doing what they did before, but there's a lackluster of curiosity. There's not a lot of, "Hey mom, can we build an art project? Can we do build a birdhouse? Can we do this?" And it's a little bit low. Do you know what I'm saying? We feel like it's all of a sudden, but actually it's been happening. The signs and the triggers have been happening for a while. We just didn't notice it until all of a sudden we're like, "Hey, what happened? You guys, come on. We remember we used to like be fine." But this is what happens when a family dynamic changes. If you were doing fine before and now you're in the struggle place, a family dynamic changes happened. It could be because you got a new puppy. It could be because you changed your schedule. It could be because you have a dynamic change in your growth of your family. So somebody has hit a new developmental level. That could be a shift that happens and affects everyone's love of learning. It just happens throughout the family and changes the entire energy of the house. And you don't really get it because it does feel all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, wait, how did we get here?" The warning signs have been happening and it's been happening for a while. We're just not taught what those things look like. We're not taught it in school. School just happens, right? They come home, we're like, yeah, whatever, school just happens. But we're not taught to look for those signs. And that's one of the things I love doing is teaching parents those signs because when we can get love of learning high and keep it high, we have to keep it high in order to develop lifelong learners. And when the only way to do that is to recognize those signs and then keep making little tiny shifts. And this love of learning drops all of a sudden, bam, because we don't have a foundational culture. So it feels like a lot, but it's actually not. It's not all at once. It's been happening for a while. And it can really start to feel overwhelming. It starts to be frustrating. I have been there. This is one of the reasons why I do what I do in helping homeschool families is because I was totally there myself. So here's my son. This is actually a picture of my son and I, although he was 6 years old at the time. We were sitting at this little Tykes desk. Literally, it almost looked like this. You guys know what I'm talking about? The little Tykes desk had a little stool and a little plastic stool. And man, here I am. We're sitting at this desk and we're both crying. And 3 weeks ago, I was so excited. He was 6 years old. And I don't know, he's never been to school. He's been homeschooled the whole time. And kindergarten, preschool was fine. But somehow, for first grade, I thought, we're going to really learn now. I don't know what happened in my brain, but I was so excited. I got all the curriculum. I got all the workbooks. I got all the things, set up this little Tykes desk because it was all we could afford at the time. And I think we actually got it on Craigslist. But I was so juiced and I thought it's going to be so fun. We're going to have so much learning happening. We're going to laugh. We're going to play. It's going to be great. And we sit down the very first week. We sit down and we do about 15 minutes. And he's with me because we've done little workbooks here and there before that. And then about 15 minutes later, he gets up and he starts to walk away. He's 6, right? I mean, that's what happens. And I'm like, wait, buddy, hold on. We're not done yet. We got this. Look at this geography. And he's like, oh, okay, I didn't know. So he sits back down. He does about 10 more minutes. And then he gets up and starts to walk away. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, buddy. Wait. Look at this math. This is amazing math. And I'm like, this is so fun because this is what we do as parents and teachers, right? We're cheerleaders, right? So look at this is so fun. Oh, wow, this is amazing. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, hold on, we have to do math. Like, because if we don't do math, we're going to fail at life. Like, we have to do math. This is not okay. And so he's a good boy. He likes to please, 6 years old. He comes and sits back down and he does about 10 more minutes. Then he gets up and he's done. He's done. And I know I'm not getting him back, but I'm trying. I'm like, buddy, look at this over here. Oh, wow, this looks super fun. He's not having it. And the next day, same thing. And I'm thinking to myself, 35 minutes. 35 minutes is all we've done. How are we ever going to learn everything he needs to learn in life and be prepared for adulthood and college and whatever happens in life if we're doing 35 minutes? I was a classroom teacher, high school English for 7 years before I had my son. We're in school a lot longer than that. 35 minutes. I'm like, I'm not feeling good about myself. I'm feeling like, man, I don't know what we're going to do. But every day, I don't know what else to do. So every day I try again and again. And every day I can get less and less and less out of him. Has anybody ever been there? And every day we're fighting more. We're arguing more. Everything's more frustrating. I'm feeling more pressured. And he feels it too. And here we are, 3 weeks later. We're both crying every day. And my heart was breaking because all I really wanted to do when I was a classroom teacher, I saw these kids come in freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, and they had spent 10 plus years not really liking learning and lost their love of learning. And all I thought was, if I could just get them to like to read something, just anything, maybe they would read something in their life that mattered to them, that helped somebody else, that made a difference. Maybe. I spent the whole year trying to do that. And here I was with my son, and I was watching his love of learning drop. I was killing it. It wasn't his fault. I knew it was me. He had never been to school. And so it was just had to stop everything. I'm like, I told my husband, my poor husband comes home. He's like, "What is happening?" We're both crying. And I was like, I don't know. I don't understand. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. I didn't plan for this. I don't know what's going on, but we can't do this anymore. So I stopped. And I didn't have any mentors like me back then. I didn't have anybody to reach out and say, "Hey, man, I'm struggling." They're just California. You guys that are like in the mid and eastern part of the country, you guys have been homeschooling a lot longer than California has, and so it wasn't really available to me. But I read some books and I reread some things that I had read before, and it hit me pretty quickly. I was doing exactly what I knew didn't work in school. I was box checking. I was just going through the motions. I was just feeling good because we did some math, check. We did some geography, check. We did some, but was he really curious about it? Was he liking learning? Did I like what we were doing? I've never met a high schooler that liked a worksheet. I've never met an adult. Well, some adults really you type A personalities. You like to complete things, right? You like to check that off your list. Some of you like that. But really, when we're talking about our kids, and some moms say, "Well, my kid likes worksheets." Your What I found is that your kid usually mostly only likes your reaction to them doing the worksheet. So, and that's what I see a lot, and then sooner or later it'll die, and that love of learning will come down because it doesn't support box checking doesn't take into account love of learning. Box checking is just checking stuff off the list, and so I saw that was messed up, and I knew that didn't work in school. That's what I was trying to undo when I was in the classroom. And so what I did with my son was I was like, "Okay, we gotta rebuild love of learning." We started focusing on interests. We started focusing on fun. We started rebuilding learning expectations. And then we started building in routines. We started failing and trying different things and trial and error and trial and error. Finally, we were actually focused on building our culture to support that foundation to support high love of learning. You know what I found? That it doesn't have to be hard. And throughout all the years of homeschooling and help in 5 years helping other families with the same build their culture and in the same situations, we can avoid these pitfalls. We can avoid low love of learning. It's going to dip a little from time to time. That's normal, but it shouldn't go down all the way. It shouldn't really drop too much to where we're hating life. We don't have to live that way. We can have, if we have a culture that supports it, a foundation that supports it, then we can have the walls, the plans built on top of the foundation. Because what we do normally, and what I did, was I was like, let's homeschool. Woo, let's go. Homeschooling. Let's get our math. Let's get our science. Let's get our this. And we're making plans. We're making our schedule. And some of y'all with the very, very strict schedules in your mind, you like your schedules. You create like whole schedule plans. Not saying that's a bad thing. We totally use them too. But sometimes when the plans are built for right now, what our situation is right now, when our situation changes, when our family dynamic changes, when their love of learning changes, when development changes in our kids, then the plans fall and there's nothing to support it. There's no culture underneath it. There's no culture that really supports that high level of learning. We can make different plans on top of it. And when we do that, if we have that culture, we can shift and change with our kids, with our family dynamic, with our schedules and everything in our curriculum. And now we have something to go on. When we don't have that, we feel a lot of pressure. Remember I was talking about I felt a lot of pressure. Anybody feel mom guilt? The mom guilt of that I don't man, I'm failing at this. Our biggest fear is to fail our kids, isn't it? We don't want to fail our kids ultimately. And as homeschoolers, we take on this additional role of their education. We're responsible for everything. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot to carry. And so when it's not going well, we feel, I did, that it's our fault. I felt like it's my fault. And so we feel the pressure. And what did I do? I pressured Kenyon to come on, let's just go. Let's just go. And I hear this from parents all the time. What? Come on, guys, let's just get through this. I used to say that in school. It's just a game you have to play, guys. Just get through it. Just a game. How sad is that? That's not learning. That's not love of learning. That's not raising someone who's always going to be a lifelong learner. And why do we care about that? Lifelong learning means that they're going to be able to adapt. They're going to be able to be successful in whatever they do because they have the confidence that they know they can learn anything. So when we feel the pressure, we put it on our kids, then love of learning drops and continues to drop. If we have the foundation, that doesn't happen. It can be a part of our natural daily family rhythm. It can be just learning is just what we do. That's what I help families do. When learning is just what you do and it's mine now, that's what we do. In fact, I had my son Kenyon on the podcast one time and I kind of threw him for a loop. I knew it was going to be hard. And I asked him, hey, buddy, what is it that we've done to help you become a lifelong learner? And honestly, he wasn't a lifelong learner until I realized it a few years ago. I was folding clothes and I was listening to him downstairs and I was just, you know what? He's a lifelong learner. Like, I honestly don't think we could undo it if we tried at this point. And that was a few years ago. That was like when he was 15, maybe 14, probably 15. And I was like, wow, that's kind of a weird thing. I know I wasn't a lifelong learner when I was that age. I was a good box checker. Tell me what to do and I'll check the box. Just get through it. Because that's what I was told by my parents. Just play the game. Just get through it. Just get the piece of paper. Just get your diploma. That's all you need. Nobody cares. I want my son to be hungry for learning. I want him to soak it up. And guess what? It can happen. And you know what I found? And you know what I found with other families that I've helped do this? They learn more when they are curious, when they are excited, when that pressure is off, when it's just what they do. They learn everywhere. You can't stop them from learning. It's crazy. It's crazy. We learn everywhere. It can be just what we do. So Kenyon said in the podcast, I asked him, what do we do to help you become a lifelong learner? And he said, well, I don't know. It's just what we do. And I was like, ah! I was like, yes, exactly, exactly. It's just what we do. It's part of our natural rhythm. So that is why I'm excited for you today and to be here today. That is exactly what all of our speakers are going to be talking about today, becoming a lifelong learner. And having that culture, all of what they're talking about today serves that culture. But if you really want to develop that culture and you really want to get to the foundation, to get that foundation together, because you're not failing, you're just missing the foundation. If you want to get that foundation, next week, I am hosting a masterclass called the Inspiring Lifelong Learners Masterclass. And here I'm going to share with you exactly how this foundation is built and how to get started. And I'm going to share with you some frameworks on how you can put it together for yourself. I love sharing about this. I love when lifelong learners come together and they are excited, and you parents are lifelong learners. If you're here, I know you are. So we can transfer that to our kids. We can make a culture that will support that for the long term, and we can raise lifelong learners that become passionate leaders in our world. That is what I'm excited about. So I invite you to register for that. Robin or Kenyon will put it in the chat for us. It's on next Thursday, February 19th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it is free. Go ahead and register right now. You don't want to miss out on this. If you're even thinking about homeschooling or you've been homeschooling for a while, we want to help you create that culture that you can support a high level of love of learning consistently.